Egypt. The Valley of the Kings, where ancient Egyptians buried their deceased leaders in lavish tombs filled with their most prized possessions. There are believed to be hundreds of tombs in this area, some yet to be discovered. One of which, the legend goes, supposedly houses the priceless jewel of the Nile, said to be worth more than the whole of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians believed their dead, once entombed, would be transported to Duat, or the realm of the dead. There, they would undergo the many trials of the gods. If they passed these trials, Anubis would weigh their heart against a feather. If everything balanced, they would be allowed into Aru, the field of reeds, where food was plenty and they could live amongst the gods for eternity. If their heart was out of balance, their soul would be fed to Amit, devourer of souls.
First thing, you can find this journal. To get out of this room, we like the idea of moving bricks. There's a small latch in here if you reach your hand in. There's a counterweight that opens the door. Bricks that you can pull out. What's that idea? So there's a little ball that's hidden behind this. In this maze there's a hole. If the ball comes through that hole and you work the maze and you get it at the end, it'll fall down here into this. How to operate this maze, because you can't get at it. This brick here and a little rope handle. You pull this, that counteracts the weight on the outside of that door. Behind you can see, well, we found a bag. Excellent.
Are we actually going to do this here, or?
We have to do it.
That hole is where the ball goes. And this wheel turns the maze on the other side. I guess we have to do it now.
You kind of got a two-person this, where I tell Cody what he has to do.
Yeah, quick.
And switch again, and now at the end. So inside there we get a handle, this bag here. And in the journal it explains my old military bag somewhere down here, and it contains a few items that could be helpful. And that you need to solve the riddles of some other gods in order to get the combo to his lock. Find a depiction of the god Ra. So here we see Ra painted on the wall. Bright at night, combining light to make heavy, has a core you can't bite, circled by many. The answer here is the sun. So bright at night, the sun is still illuminated, has a core you can't bite, and circled by many, so the sun has planets going around it. Take sun, look at the hieroglyphs beside the god, and count up the number of suns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 would be the first number on the combo lock on the bag. Osiris is the next one. Some seek me, but I'm rarely chased. You can turn away, but I'm always faced. If we meet accidentally, you won't know we did. Once with you, you will never be rid. The answer there is death. Look for the skull, universal symbol for death. The answer there is 1. Seth, the opposite before, the light leaves my eyes. With a rumble I do warn, light my weapon, out it cries. None are dead, but tears are shed. Opposite before, that's supposed to be the calm before the storm. Leaves my eyes, it gets cloudy, so the sun gets covered. With a rumble I do warn, that's thunder. Light my weapon, out it cries, so again thunder and lightning. None are dead, but tears are shed, that's the rain. Seth is the god of storms, so we're looking for the lightning bolts here. And then 1, 2, 3, right there. Sobek is the last guy, is an alligator looking dude. A mouth speaks not, a bed is no cot. Banks without coin, tributes will join. So there is river, mouth of the river, river bed, river banks, and tributaries join into a river. The answer is 1, 2, the symbol for water.
5 suns, 1 death, 3 lightning bolts, and 2 rivers. Open the bag.
Underneath this sand here, get a piece of the journal. There are 4 elemental gods that must be appeased before the challenger may pass. So Earth is 1. Looking at these symbols, the 2 horizontal lines, we see that over here. The small find their strength in numbers. There's only one place to put this. It goes here. So there's a brick in here that we need to put weight on the other side of this arm. So in order to do that, we have to turn this conveyor belt. The small find their strength in numbers. Fill up the box with a bunch of small things, and you get strength out of that to lift the brick up. Use some sand from this corner over here. The bucket and get the brick out. So there's also the water god. You've got a symbol of 3 squiggly lines. See in the box down there, 3 squiggly lines. There's a brick at the bottom of a long tube. Too long to stick your arms down and get. So for water, in this tomb the tide goes constantly in, never out. If we look on the wall, we see squiggly lines. If we follow that back, a brick here that has squiggly lines that can be pressed in. Be constantly pushing in all of the bricks with the water supply.
There was 3 total. There's 1 in the initial room. You can show this, but you might want to catch the tube filling up.
We hid that one a little bit so that people don't have to do some searching. Is it working? Yeah. So you can see it actually fills with water. A lot of people, for fire, you see this symbol, also the symbol on the torch. It says, in order to bring light to darkness, one must first hold torch to flame. Hold the torch to the flame symbol, then you will have something lighting up in the darkness.
Yeah. It's hard to tell.
Again, a lot easier in the dark. The bricks all have symbols on them, and so on one side you have a feather being weighed against 2 other symbols. So you have an eye and a scarab on one side, and on the other side you have a bird and a man. And so this information combined with some other information you'll get a little later on will be used to determine the order of the bricks. So this box fits perfectly in this little turntable here. Air, we can see the symbol for air over here. Clue there is, wise is the one who learns to remain in the center of a storm, for they will be protected on all flanks. The idea here is to remain in the center of the storm, and the storm is like a tornado. You spin it, and that allows you to open the box that was previously locked. We have a few more scales like the ones in the black light. You're building a pyramid by stacking bricks. The heaviest stuff is going to be at the bottom. The simplest solution is to give each symbol a designation 1 through 6. The number 6 we'll put at the bottom. Because the feather appears by itself on one side of every scale, and there are multiple symbols on the other sides, then we can basically determine that the feather is going to be 6. Thinking of this side as 6, we see there are 3 men here and an ankh. 3 times anything other than 1 would make this value more than 6. So we can basically assume that the men are equal to 1. So we'll put men on top. If the men are 1 each, and there's 3 of them, you have 6 minus 3 equals the ankh, and so therefore the ankh must be 3. We see an ankh plus a man plus an eyeball equals a feather, or 6. So 3 plus 1 plus what equals 6. The eyeball is therefore 2. A scarab plus an eyeball equals a feather. If an eyeball is 2, then what plus 2 gives you 6, and that's 4. So the scarab is 4, and by default, the crow is 5. And with that, you see there's a bit of a blue light that comes on here. And so once that light's on, then you can pull the throne away, which was previously locked. So this opens the throne room. The journal kind of explains that this is a game that needs to be figured out. So what's indicated in the journal is that you need some more of these staves. One of them, you got to find the statue that's loose, 3D rotational.
This can only come up so far, then you have to
rotate it to
feeling things out, I guess.
Alright, so this maze box. So on this one we get a key, which opens, and this lock we were kind of okay with because so you get that maze and this pulls open. In this box you get another staff. And there's a journal page that explains an ancient Egyptian numbering system. This flower looking thing is thousands, and the spiral is hundreds. The N or wicket is like tens, and the ones are ones. This scarab comes out of the sarcophagus there, and it was a bit of a trick box. You pull the drawer open, and then the wings lift up, and it gives you some information of plus minus plus. Add the first 2 numbers, subtract the next number, and then add the last number again. So we have 3, 3, 3, 3, plus 2, 2, 2, 2, which is 5s, and then minus 4s, so you get 1s, and so you just add 1 to each of these. So you'll get 4, 3, 5, 7.
There you go.
You get the last staff. The journal implies that there are 2 separate things going on with this puzzle. There's the location, meaning does the staff go in this hole, or any of the remaining holes. In order to figure out location, looking at the top of the box, you see that it's a 3x3 grid. And if you get sort of a bird's eye view of the room, you notice that the floor has that same 3x3 grid. Put the staff that you found in each square of the room, that's the square it goes in on the top of the box. So this head came from this box, and so it's in the bottom right square. So this would go here, but we don't know which way it faces yet. The snake came from the snake box, so that's the bottom left, so that'll go here. And the pharaoh came from sarcophagus, which is the top right, so that one goes in here. This staff was found in the center of the room, in this box, so it stays in the center. And then there's orientation, which is, does the staff face this way? Does it face that way? And so on. You have to play the game called Senet, the ancient Egyptian board game, in order to figure out which orientation these staves go in. Looking at this board, if you read the rules, the players are the gold pieces. There's a direction of movement to the board, like this. Each of these special symbols is something to do the next best move in each situation. The rules of the game state that you can't progress past the 3 graves until you've landed exactly on that square. The next best move for gold here would be to move 1. The way to indicate that was to use the 1 flag, and there's a little arrow pointing. The arrow has to point to the board that the 1 should be used on. The next easiest one to understand. The next best move for gold here is to move into Eru off the board. 1, 2, 3 spaces. So take the 3 flag and you point the arrow at this board. This staff was in the correct position to begin with, so you can just leave it there. And by default, this flag gets pointed towards this board, which is the only board not pointed to. And when it's dark, you can see that this sarcophagus lights up on the head, and that will open this.
The story wraps up. There's a lot written in this room, but the very last of it, in the journal, this person signs their name as Rosenbaum. So this is a callback to the study. In the study, the name of the lawyer was Rosenbaum. It's complicated, but so the old man from the study knew the lawyer from his younger days. They actually came here as a team exploring this tomb. When they found the jewel, the old man from the study kind of went crazy, and that's alluded to in the video. He kind of, becomes obsessed with it. There's like kind of a Lord of the Rings, My Precious sort of thing going on. He clunks this guy over the head and leaves him for dead in the tomb. The very beginning of the journal references that, and he wakes up with a splitting headache. In the study, it appears as though the lawyer is a very bad guy, because when you put the cutouts over the letter, it says, "The lawyer is after my precious jewel hidden in safe," but really there's some motivation for that because, or that's supposed to be his son, right? Again, it's so convoluted. Because really this guy didn't make it out, and that's why, yeah, anyway. So there's this whole generational revenge plot going on, and really the only clue to it is Rosenbaum, and you have to remember that that's the name of the lawyer from the study. Then you have to be kind of piecing together and really paying attention to the flavor text that's been littered all over here. And if you pay attention to that and remember the study storyline, you can make those connections. But there's so much going on and so many other areas to focus your attention that I don't know if anyone has ever gotten the full storyline. But we just kind of sit back and feel good about ourselves that we ended up putting those two things together, I guess. Blooper reel. Going or what?
Yeah, we're going. This is all gold.
Typically this room's done in the dark.
I think people generally found it quite annoying.
Unfortunately, what we found out is a lot of players don't really like to read. Yeah, go quick that way. Shoot. Oh, I guess we didn't talk about the earth thing, so we'll cut and edit this earth thing back in, but not at the end. Oh.
It sounds like they're saying something really profound, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in reality, we're literally, so again, just very literal about it.
Literally in series.
We're being very literal about what we're saying. It's very light up?
No.
Yeah, it's on.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, barely. Does it show up on the screen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it shows up really well actually.
Yeah, probably better than if I'm actually looking at it.
It does actually.
Yeah.
Got some sand in there. So we have basically 4 equations and 6 unknowns. And any mathematician will tell you that's impossible. So the answer there is death. What, Brad?
I slapped my finger by accident.
We good?
Yeah.
Well, it had Chinese characters, so there was some inconsistency with that, but
In there, how could this possibly...
Oh, you took it out.
oh right, yeah.
Luke Earlier. Thanks, Josh.